I think architecture is very much the way different entities get together and gain continuity, collaboration, but also the way they dispute or respond to each other. And architecture discipline is kind of taking the responsibility of thinking what is the way these processes and these compositions, these assemblages can be intervened, so particular balances, particular rearticulations, particular forms of political value can be introduced in the way the world is composed together. I think that that's a crucial question, because architecture is never the kind of materialization of the will of one person, the architect or something like that. I think those are very inaccurate readings of what architecture is in action. I think architecture is always a result of many entities working together. The constraints for architecture and the need to understand the limits of architecture's action or reach, and also what is needed from it, are very much not obstacles, but rather constitutional processes, I would say. So architecture is not something previous to that negotiation. It's actually through that negotiation with others, clients, public authorities, regulations, environmental priorities, social tensions, all that, it's really deep inputs by which architecture co-emerge with social and ecological transformations. And this co-emergence is what is crucial. Architecture is not happening as, let's say, something imposed to a society, like a helicopter that arrives to a society. It happens from inside. It happens as a process of reconstitution, rearticulation of a particular social and ecological context. And it happens from inside, or it doesn't happen at all. And it happens as a kind of co-emergency of this architecture with a new version of those societies and ecologies affected by that architecture. And that notion of co-emergency is crucial, because then the role of architects is being one of these forces negotiating how these convergences happen. From my point of view, the idea of architecture as a trend is very much situated in a particular moment in time, like the 1990s to the 2000s, in which basically the world was very conservative and very kind of pessimistic about what architecture could do. So architecture was seen as something that was stabilizing relationships of power rather than challenging them. So therefore, the discussion of architecture was more about style, materials, colors, what it looks like. I think the kind of inflation of that culture with Instagram, with the way images circulate, kind of show how exhausted it was. And at this point, I think we're reconstructing what architecture is. I think there's now a kind of new strength to architecture that comes from its kind of a certain awareness of its political capacities. And I think that renovated importance for architecture is being posed by many people that have been pushing for architectural practices to acknowledge that design is in itself very loaded politically. And if you think of practices in the field of activism, in the field of legal support, in the field of the construction of the conditions for citizenship, the architecture that is happening as a response to climate crisis, those are fields that are growing immensely and that are capturing the energy and the will of young generations together with older generations of architects. Those are, for me, kind of the new spaces where architecture is happening now, and the ones that are most powerful and relevant. Yeah, I'm really excited about being the chief curator for the 13th Shanghai Biennale that will happen in starting from November. I think Beijing is a very vibrant city with an amazing artistic scene, very lively institutions, museums, galleries, and a huge connection with the world. Shanghai, I think, is equally vibrant, exciting, well-equipped with institutions, artists. What I really love about Shanghai is it's the way inevitable it's connected with the river and the way that that's really shaping the entire city, and historically it's been. But when I think of Shanghai and Beijing, I can help but thinking of them as interconnected. I mean, I think the main thing is diversity. I think that we're facing the need to reconsider the way we build up togetherness, not as a form of homogeneity, but actually as an opportunity to empower diversity. And that seems to be clear to everyone. But it really requires a number of things, because diversity is not only human diversity, which it is, but it's also to acknowledge that the fundamental question of diversity is the lack of independence and the lack of autonomy, and therefore how important it is to track the forms of interdependency that bring us together. And this is a question about how not only we are tolerant to different individuals, but it's a question about the individuality, and it's a question about how we, or each entity, each person, each animal depends on others that are diverse to each of us, and those others are diverse in radical ways. So when we think of ourselves and the way we depend on other humans, other non-humans, the question of diversity is not how do we humans admit other humans, or how do we allow them to be empowered. It's not that. It's really a question also about what is the very status of bodies as not independent, and how much that dependency is a question of how we acknowledge that when we say we depend on others, those others are very different to us. This is totally confronted to the culture of modernity that was thinking of humans as autonomous and as equal, all of them equal, and those that were not equal were wrong. So the evolution of a culture of that empowers diversity requires to go against this notion of modernity, the very notion of the autonomous individual, the very notion of the flat humanity, the very notion of the domain of those humans on other different humans, but also the very notion of domain on whatever human body with others, other forms of life, geologies, landscapes, environments. And this is a very it's a huge endeavor that we're facing, but one that either we face it and we make our societies evolve, or the existence of humans in the future is very much questioned.